A brand new business and markets today starts right now here on Channels Television. I am Busin Namafai. We welcome our viewers here in Nigeria and around the world. And let's get started on this very warnings note which was provided by the international police called Interpol, saying that a network of criminals in narcotics, weapons and migrant smuggling are converging and finding safe haven in West Africa. That's according to Georgian Stark, who is the head or the Secretary General of International Police known as Interpol. According to him, the criminals are taking advantage of poor information sharing among security agencies within ECOWAS and weakening their collective fight. And that's the big story that everyone needs to pay attention. The Nigeria's oil ministry is also complaining about the speed at which illegal crude oil are being stolen across Nigeria's waters, and that's lending credence to the Interpol that criminal elements are finding safe haven and are converging in West Africa, from hard drugs from Equatorial Guinea all the way to Nigeria coastal waters. A notice there for everyone to take note of. Now let's talk about what has been done. So Nigeria on Tuesday signed an agreement that will enable the implementation of West Africa Police Information Sharing System, WAPIS. The new system will provide 24/7 live access to global communication network that will allow Nigeria to share information and be part of the global police information sharing system. That is one thing that took place on Tuesday. At the same time, Nigeria also signed a memorandum of understanding with a private operator, Euphoria Press Limited, to produce 13 million biometric identity cards for Nigerians who are traveling within the ECOWAS sub-region. The cost of those ID cards or biometric identity cards will be 14.7 billion naira. In the agricultural sector, the Honorable Minister in charge of Agric and Rural Development, Audu Ogbe, says Nigeria's agricultural production for exports is increasing up 500% in the past 3 years, and the country is saving about $21 billion in food imports. The minister says he was citing information from 2 commercial banks and the Statistics Office of the National Bureau of Statistics. The media quoted Audu Ogbe as saying that, quote, "We have a vision for agriculture here. We want to create the Farmers Bank, that's the Bank of Agriculture, and this is their chance to become co-members and owners of the bank." The idea here, according to the minister, Audu Ogbe, is that the Bank of Agriculture will now be recapitalized with a capital base of between 200 billion naira to 250 billion naira. And according to the minister, that will enable the BOA to provide credit to farmers at rates lower than 5% or 6%. Let's go on Market Street. What do we have? The Nigeria's Debt Office has issued the notice of April Naira bond auctions. This comes once every month, most times in the 3rd week of the month. So the Debt Office will be offering 3 papers totaling 100 billion naira, and that will open for auction when we come back from the Easter holiday, April the 24th. And this is the details of the 3 offerings. The first paper is a reopening of the April 2023 5-year paper. 40 billion naira is the size, and of course it's a reopening. You can see the yield, 12.75%. But the Debt Office says 2 new papers will be issued. A 40 billion naira will be for the April 2029, which will be a 10-year new issue midterm paper. And to make good on its promise, the Nigerian government is issuing for the first time its longest dated Naira bond, 30-year new issue, which the finance minister spoke about 2 weeks ago. 20 billion naira is the first in this, and that will be maturing April 2049. That will be the longest Naira bond to be issued on the yield curve for Nigeria, maturing year 2049, and that will be 20 billion. We'll see how that paces out next week when the offering are made on the 24th. Still on Market Street, Tier 1 lender Access Bank has released this first quarter 2019 result. In other words, this is the first bank or the first company on the Nigerian Stock Exchange to report first quarter 2019 numbers, showing earnings that analysts are already pouring over, saying these earnings beat the street. Let's give you some highlights of what Access Bank reported after the market close on Tuesday. The group, which is the Access Bank as a group, reported a profit that jumped 64.37% or 17.7 billion naira in the first 3 months of 2019 to 41.14 billion naira. For the lenders standalone, the profit after tax came in at 30.73 billion naira. In terms of earnings per share, that's much better. In fact, a roaring 1 naira 39 kobo is the earnings per share, basic earnings per share reported by Access Bank for the group. That's much better than 77 kobo reported in the first quarter of last year. And for the bank, the earnings per share, basic earnings per share in at 1 naira 4 kobo against 57 kobo reported in the same period, first 3 months of 2018. Looking into the balance sheet, the total loan book for Access Bank came in at 128.5 billion naira and deposits now at a record 3.4 trillion naira. But the bank is complying with the IFRS, that's International Financial Reporting Standards 9, which of course impacted the bank's capital by 264 billion naira after adjustments were made for what you call the central bank's forbearance on the full impact. We have more details about the Access Bank, and analysts will talk about that later on the program. But of course, it's a big story for this bank, which is now Nigeria's largest bank by deposit base, according to some rating agencies. Meantime, this is already in the news from yesterday. The Federal High Court in Abuja discharged and acquitted a former head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Muniru Gwazo, who on corruption charges involving 115.8 million naira. The court also yesterday discharged a former executive commissioner of the SEC, Zubwanu Garba, who was charged alongside Gwazo last year. Gwazo was suspended by Nigeria's former finance minister, Kemi Adeosun, in November 2017 on allegations of financial impropriety regarding Gwazo's salaries while he was in office. The accusations is strongly denied. Yesterday, Justice Baba Yusuf says, quote, there is no evidence that the first defendant, Gwazo, used his office to confer advantage on himself. The evidence of criminal breach of trust was not established, and evidence of witnesses was discredited under cross-examination. That's some of the stories making the headlines.